this little brief tutorial on how to join your little scrappy squares. You probably stumbled upon this link from the pattern, so if that is so, that's awesome. But I just wanted to preface that if you did not stumble upon this video from the pattern, it's because there's going to be a full tutorial on how to make a little scrappy. I'm going to end up putting the 1 to 2 year olds, it's actually not 1 to 2, it's 12 to 24 months size, full tutorial on YouTube, but that's coming later. So first I'm just going to do a couple of videos to show you how to do some steps for the pattern. So we're gonna just dive on in on, I'm gonna show you how to join the squares, and then I will probably show you how to do the sleeves with cuffs in this video as well. So let's hop on in. I'm gonna put you in my tripod. Okay, so I have you set up on my tripod, and I'm gonna go ahead and just dive on in. So when you join your squares, you're going to be using the same hook that you use to make your squares. And I just also wanted to say that it is best to keep a loose tension throughout the joining. So I'm going to be using this color to join these squares from Big Twist. I'm unsure what color this is called. Dark teal. The squares, I did use this from Hobby Lobby. It's Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek, and I think it's in the color oh wow, there's a piece of tape over it. Parisian, oh my gosh, please don't, I don't think I said that right. Parisian light. Okay, whatever, besides the point. I know sometimes people will have questions on the colors I use, so I went ahead and just told you. So to join, it's pretty easy in my opinion, but then if you're a beginner, then this is probably something a little new for you. So we're gonna start with a slip knot on your hook. So just have that started, and we're going to be just starting in the middle chain. So there should be 3 chains in each of the corners. So you're going to start in that middle chain, and I usually say start on the one that's on the right, but if you're left-handed, I'm sure that means you want to start on the left. But if you're a left-handed crocheter, I'm sure you know that by watching right-handed tutorials, if you are experienced like that. Okay, so I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into that middle, so which is like the second chain in the back loop, just like so. And then I'm going to make sure that this yarn is behind, like behind the squares, if that makes sense. So I usually just take this and I put it behind the squares so it's already there. Then I'm going to insert my hook and put it into the second chain, which is the middle chain on the square to the left. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there on the back. And I'm gonna try to make this a little, like, I'm gonna try to go as slow as I can, just so this is easy for you to watch. So I'm gonna yarn over my hook and pull through both of those loops. So you just created your first slip stitch, and usually the first one's a little bit funky, but once you keep going, it'll be easier. Then go into that chain next to it, because there's a chain right next to it. And then we're going to put it into this chain as well on the other square, yarn over and pull through both loops. And then we're going to continue that all the way down. And don't mind my untucked ends, just don't judge me. See, I had my yarn over here, so make sure your yarn's in the back. And pull through. So I'll probably just tuck this end back here. Sorry about that. Go in the back. And we're basically using the same stitch from each side. So like, I don't know how to explain that in better terms. Here I go with the brain fart. So basically whatever you do on this side, you're gonna do on that side, if that makes any sense. So whatever stitch you're going into here, make sure you're going into on this side. So like right now I'm on the half double crochets. So you want to make sure that you're going into the same stitch on the other side. That way they stay even and they're not crooked by any means. So we're just going to continue up until we get to the next set of squares. I'll probably just move this down so it's closer to me. Oh, quick enough. All right, so now we're like in our chain spaces, so just make sure you get onto that first chain, and then the second, so the middle, you're gonna do that as well. And then now we're gonna join the other two squares here, just for the sake of this video. Let's move that end to the other side. Make sure your yarn is still behind. Ooh. And then insert your hook into the right square first, into that middle chain. So you're always going to start in that middle chain when joining squares. Oh, I lost, see? I'm human, don't worry. There you go. And then we're gonna keep going down. And that's how you connect rows or columns, or whichever one you are doing first. I typically do the long side first, so whichever has the most squares, I'll just do that first, and then I'll do the shorter edges. So I'm going to complete this, and then I will snip this off so I can show you how to do the intersecting squares. So I can show you this one. All right, so I went ahead and joined those two. And then now I'm going to show you how to hop over this intersection when you're doing your rows or columns, or like I said, whichever one you started with. So we're going to start with a slip knot on our hook. And what I do is I usually just slide this end under. So you say it's under your work, and you see how it's underneath this intersection here. So when your cardigan is bigger or such, you kind of just gotta like shimmy it under. So we're gonna start in that middle chain again. So this is gonna be like the same as we just did before. And then we're just gonna make it all the way up until we hit that intersection. And you'll notice I probably picked up my pace here a bit. That way the video is not so long. I was trying really hard to make these a little shorter. I did get some feedback from some friends over on Instagram that it might be better if I make these videos a little shorter for those who just need to refer back to like a reference or something. That way they don't have to scroll through a huge video. So, and this is where it kind of gets a little harder with your fingers because you don't know where to hold your yarn. So I kind of play around with this little hole here, and I like kind of put my hand under here to help me guide the yarn better because it'll get a little tight. Okay, so there should be one chain that's not worked in on this square, so it's right here. We already worked into the middle chains. So we're going to go ahead and just work into that unworked chain. And this is a maker's choice as well. So typically I just jump over this and then I work into the chain here, just like this, because I have a pretty loose tension. So, but if you feel like your tension is tight and you are unsure if you're able to get this chain, like not chain, slip stitch over loose enough, you could always just put, oh, lost my yarn. You can always just chain one if you wanted to, and then continue down this way. That way, this intersection isn't so like tight. You want it to be loose. You want it to be able to have some stretch. So this is an option for you if you'd like. So typically I don't do that. So I'm gonna just take that out and I'm gonna just continue on down. I just hop on over it. And so my slip stitch is pretty loose. And then we're gonna go down the squares just like we've been doing. Hoping that's pretty easy. So that's how you join your squares. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do the sleeves, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so for the sleeves, you'll need just, I believe it's 2 squares for all the sizes, except unless you decide to make them longer, then you'll have 4 squares. And if you have 4 squares, it doesn't matter which way you make it into a tube. But for this purpose of the video, I only did 2 squares. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically make it into a tube. So I just turn it upside down and I go like this. And we're going to slip stitch these 2 squares together. So I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to just kind of guide my yarn underneath here. And don't mind my ends, guys. I will tuck them in, I promise. And then we're going to start in that middle chain, just like we've been doing. Ooh. And we're going to just join up these 2 squares. That way it turns into a tube. Oh, my yarn split. Let's fix that. Okay. Let's tuck that end up back there. All right. Hopefully I'm still in frame. Oh my gosh, I wasn't paying attention. Okay, so when you get down to the middle chain, you have to work into this middle chain. I will switch out my hook. So I usually do my edging in a 4.5mm hook. Hopefully I can find it. There it is. Okay, so from here you just switch your hook, and you're going to chain your desired amount for as wide or long you want your cuffs to be. So for this video I'm just going to do 10 just to show you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, and then you're going to single crochet in the second chain from the hook. So, and then we're going to go all the way down towards the sleeve. And then this is maker's choice, so you can decide on how cinched you want your sleeves to be. And what does that means is basically how tight you want the cuffs to be around the wrists. So you can make them pretty tight because it will loosen with time, or you can make them loose if your child or the kid that you're making this for doesn't like things on their wrists. You can make it looser. So basically, like this one, I made I think I slip stitched 4 on one square, and then I slip stitched 3 on the other square. And whatever you do to one sleeve, you want to do to the other. So you can also alternate. So you can like slip stitch 3 and then slip stitch 4 and then slip stitch 3. I'll explain that more while I'm doing it. So once you make it down to this last chain, you're going to slip stitch. I will say I'm going to do 4. So I'm going to slip stitch 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just turn your work, and then you're going to skip these 4 slip stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in the back loop of the single crochets that you did here, you're going to put a single crochet into each one of these. And so what does those slip stitches do is it basically groups the stitches together, and then by not chaining when you turn, it helps it. And if you chain, sometimes it'll have like a little hole, so that's why I decided not to add that in the pattern. So now we're going to, now that we made it all the way up away from the sleeve, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to turn our work, and then you're going to repeat this process all the way around the cuff. So always single crochet in the back loops only. Ooh, all the way down. And I typically make my slip stitches like not tight, but they're not loose either. So I slip stitched 4, and then we're gonna turn, and we're gonna single crochet in the back loops of these single crochets. And I sometimes tighten that first single crochet, that way it groups together, and I'll show you what it looks like on the inside. Just pull that so I don't lose it. So you'll notice that like they kind of like bubble up, and you want that. That's totally fine and normal. And this is what it's going to kind of look like. And the more you cinch, the more the cuff is just going to look more narrow in comparison to the sleeve. So it's going to look narrower. But there is stretch to it, so I wouldn't be too worried about how tight you do it. And the more that the child or your child wears it, it will stretch with time. So totally up to you on how you want the cuffs to be edged. And then that is about it for this video. If you have any other questions pertaining these little steps, I do have longer videos on YouTube showing those just in between the time that I post the free tutorial for the full scrappy. But I will do another video on how to assemble the sleeves, like attach them to the cardigan. But for now, this is good, and I hope this is short enough for those who just need them for a reference. And I'm excited you're here. So I can't wait to, see all the little scrappies out in the wilds. So bye.